Horror on the highway in Skagit County this morning. An entire section of I-5 plunged into the Skagit River, taking cars and people with it. Now investigators want to know how this could happen to such a major roadway that carries some 70,000 vehicles each and every day. That is a live look this morning at Air 4. And good morning. Thank you so much for joining us here at KOMO 4 News at 11 a.m. I'm Liz DeWicki. Now, that bridge collapse cutting off a vital transportation link for our state, just as thousands of families also hit the road for Memorial Day weekend. We have Team 4 coverage right now this morning. Shannon O'Donnell keeping an eye on the traffic backup and the detour routes as well. Kara Kostanich spoke with some of those people affected, including one of the men who ended up in the water. Of course, though, we begin with KOMO 4's Denise Whitaker live with the latest on that investigation. Denise?
Investigators are definitely out here, Liz. I want to show you right away because they are up on the bridge deck that is still remaining over I-5. And coming up here in a few seconds, you'll see a close-up of where the truck hit the bridge up there, right above where those men are standing. But still, we have got a tangled mess still in the river. It's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of different entities to get that done. Now, a few things right off the top for you. The governor declared an emergency in 3 counties here, so the state can now coordinate assistance. That should really help everyone here locally. Governor Inslee also got a commitment already for $1 million in federal money from Secretary Ray LaHood. Air 4 was first on scene to bring you live video of this catastrophic collapse. An entire section of Interstate 5 now in the Skagit River.
It is a miracle. That's the only way I can explain it.
Trooper Jason Betts was first on scene, working to make sure no one beyond the 3 already down in the water would plummet off the highway. With the highway secured, he turned his attention to those victims below.
So we talked to them, reassured them that they're going to be okay.
Dan Sly and his wife are 2 who survived the plunge into the cold waters of the Skagit River. They were pulling their camper south on I-5 when all of a sudden the concrete roadway was gone. He says he hit the brakes. The weight of the trailer propelled them off the bridge.
My truck top was caved in. Couldn't see my wife in the passenger seat. I asked her if she was okay. She wasn't responding.
Sly rescued his wife. Emergency divers then rescued them out of the wreckage.
You talk miracles. I don't know what you want to call it.
So how did this happen in the first place? State Patrol says a commercial wide load had just crossed the bridge.
When the oversized load of the trucks struck the bridge, that was the catalyst that kind of got the ball rolling and started everything else.
And beyond the section that fell, Trooper Kirk Rudine pointed other support beams out to me. The truck hit as it continued across the bridge. The driver stopped and is cooperating. And State DOT tells me this company did secure a permit to move this load, but that it's up to the individual driver to check bridge heights and properly plan a safe route. That driver is out of Alberta, Canada, is cooperating with police, but we still have many unanswered questions on those permits. And one more thing for you, we've got conduit, as you see wires inside conduit hanging off the bridge. Puget Sound Energy tells me they're still waiting for the word to cut all of that. They're concerned that that's going to take out more power. A few people were without power last night. Now, so many different entities involved in all of this. As I mentioned, DOT's got to bring in contractors to get out the bridge. Of course, investigators have to figure out exactly what happened with all of this as well. Now, we do know that the transportation investigators from the federal level have arrived at the airport here, and they are on their way on scene. So we do know that federal investigators are on their way. Still, so many things yet to sort out. We will continue to follow it for you live here. Right now, I am in Burlington on the north side of the river. Denise Whitaker, KOMO 4 News.
All right, Denise, thank you. And yeah, like you said, federal investigators on their way to the scene. So that bridge in the water not going anywhere anytime soon. But, you know, for the very first time this early morning here, we are now hearing from the 3rd and final victim of the Skagit River bridge collapse, rather. He just spoke with KOMO 4's Kara Kostanich just a few moments ago, and she continues our Team 4 coverage live from Mount Vernon with his story. Kara?
That's right, Liz. Bryce Cannon was released from the hospital last night, and today he has just a bump on his head and a possible concussion, and he is in good spirits, I will add. But his life was flashed before him when he was simply driving right along this bridge when it gave way.
It's kind of like you make a split decision and say, I'm not going to die here. You know, I'm going to get out of this.
20-year-old Bryce Canning was on his way to Bellingham to play hockey with some buddies, but the unexpected nearly derailed his life.
And all of a sudden it was like something out of a movie, you know, There's just like a huge explosion in front of me, and the ground on the bridge is falling into the water.
Bryce tried to stop his car, but went plunging off the bridge into the frigid water of the Skagit River.
It was a huge impact. You know, all the airbags went off, and the cars started to rush with water. And that was when I kind of thought I wasn't going to make it.
Bryce made 2 failed attempts to kick out the windshield. Panic set in and adrenaline delivered.
Pulled the handle and kicked on the door as hard as I could. I was able to get out.
This photograph was captured of Bryce after he climbed to the top of his orange Subaru. He was wet, freezing, and likely out of harm's way.
There was that one point when I was in the water where I thought, oh my God, am I going to die?
But for this sophomore at the University of British Columbia who drives over this bridge several times a week, his big-time hockey dreams today can still be a reality.
I mean, talk about counting your blessings. I must have some pretty good guardian angels, you know, watching over me.
And there is no doubt about that. Back out here live, you can see that drop. We estimate about 120 feet. He plunged off that bridge. Bryce tells me he woke up ready to face the world with a new spirit this morning. I also want to tell you, I asked him about that explosion he described. He says that it was simply a big plume of dust from when this bridge came crashing right down into the river. We're live on the north side of the bridge today. I'm Kara Kostanich, KOMO 4 News.
Wow, a bump on the head, a concussion, and that's it. Pretty amazing, Kara. Thank you. Well, you know, an impromptu candlelight vigil held last night just shortly after that collapse. People held hands praying for the victims of this accident. In fact, we talked to one woman who had just crossed that bridge minutes before it collapsed.
And I could imagine how they hit when they went off the bridge, you know, just hit hard. And I'm sort of scared for the one pickup that's trapped down there, you know, and it scares me to think it could have been me, you know.
Williams also telling us she didn't know anything was wrong until she saw several troopers race right past her in the opposite direction. This closure will surely have an effect on traffic for a long time. In fact, people hitting the road will have to navigate some congested detours. Want to check in with Shannon O'Donnell this morning for a look at how those roads are doing.
Well, Liz, with the big holiday weekend here underway, you can expect that we'd see the backups in this vicinity anyway, let alone with all that has happened. But obviously some detours have been set up. You just want to pack your patience and follow the signs and all of the other cars as you head out for our Friday afternoon. If you're heading in the northbound direction, trying to perhaps get up to Canada or Bellingham this weekend, you're going to exit at exit 227. Take College Way to northbound Riverside Drive and then back to South Burlington Boulevard. You'll go west on George Hopper Road and then hop back onto I-5 at that point. Otherwise, for the southbound drivers coming in perhaps from British Columbia trying to make it to the Sound or Portland this weekend, you are going to take exit 230. You're going to go on Highway 20 there towards South Burlington Boulevard, then on East College Way back onto I-5. You can always surpass this altogether if you're heading on up in the northbound direction by taking State Route 534, grabbing 9, and then once you hit Cedar Woolley, heading back to I-5 in that direction too. But overall, a lot of cars on the side streets throughout the course of probably the entire weekend, and you just want to take it easy through the Skagit Valley and again pack your patience through the course of the weekend. Liz.
Shannon, thank you. A lot to think about when you're commuting this weekend. And also this morning, we are learning more about the history of this bridge and possible warning signs about it as well. A report from 2009 showing the city of Burlington felt that this bridge was at the end of its useful life. The bridge was built in 1955. It's also been listed as functionally obsolete because the design is outdated. The Federal Highway Administration even says the shoulders were too narrow and the clearance just too low. Federal records show it has a sufficiency rating of 57 out of 100, but the state average is 80.
It's an older bridge that it's in need of constant maintenance and repair, and it was inspected twice last year. Repairs were made.
The bridge does have weight restrictions. No more than 20,000 pounds per axle is the legal load, and heavier trucks would have to have a special permit. Of course, there are a lot of changes and a lot of new details coming in here, so the KOMO News Network is covering every aspect of this story right now. We will break in with any new developments. You can also catch the latest on KOMO News Radio and online at komonews.com.